All right, folks, we're going to be factoring the difference between two squares in this lesson. So what's a perfect square? Well, perfect square is formed by squaring a whole number and or integer actually. So here are some examples. The numbers in yellow are called perfect squares. What are square roots? Well, if I take the square roots of a perfect square, I'm of course back to the base here. So the square root of 9 is 3, 36 is 6. So if I ask for the square root of a number, I'm talking about these. Perfect squares are here. And you need to be able to recognize them in order to understand this process. So let's take a look. Also, please remember, you cannot factor the sum of two squares. Sum means addition. You can't do this. Don't get tricked. It's not factorable. It's called a prime polynomial. And like I said, really, I just want you not to get tricked into trying to do this. It's a famous trick question on many tests. So, examples. Well, we have x squared minus 9. Well, they are both squares. The x squared, I noticed the square, and here we go, 9. 9 is right there. It is a perfect square. So I can do this process. First thing you're going to do is take the square root of x squared, which would be x. What's the square root of 9? Well, that's going to be right here. Square root of 9 is 3. And hopefully you all know these already. So now take these two numbers and letters and place them here in this pattern. X minus 3, x plus 3. It's always the same pattern. So let's try a few more of these. So what if I have 16 x squared minus 9? Well, the first thing I'm going to look for is a GCF. There's none of that. I also notice that they are perfect squares. Remember, here they are. 9 and 16 are perfect squares, so I could do this process. Place your two set of parentheses. One has to have a minus and one a plus. And remember, it does not matter which you put first, which you put last. It does not matter. What is the square root of 16? According to our little handy-dandy chart, it is 4. So that would be 4x. And the square root of 9 is 3. Place both of those twice, and you have factored two squares. This difference between two squares, sorry. All right, what's another problem? Let's see. Let's try this one. All right, now this one's going to be a little trickier because I noticed the 4 and the 16, and I know 4 times 4 is 16. So I know 4 goes into 16. So I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor. Remember, 4 times 1, 4 times 4. So this here is the greatest common factor. So I'm going to put that in front, and then what happens when I divide 4 by 4? I just end up with 1x squared. 16 divided by 4, I get 4. And that was a minus sign. Now, if the result are still two squares, which in this case it is, 1 and 4 are perfect squares, we can still continue with this process. So, this 4 is placed in front, has to stay there, and now I can do the process. The square root of x squared is x. Put a plus, put a minus. And what's the square root of 4? Everybody knows. 2. Very good. We have accomplished two problems pretty quickly. All right, let's try another one. Now notice the x squared is in the back. Do not let that fool you. Don't try and turn it around. You can't do that with subtraction. Subtraction isn't commutative. So you just, the same process, it's just going to look a little different. And that's okay because sometimes we're all very different, right? So first thing I'm looking for, I notice a 50 and an 8. Well, you know what? You know what number goes into both of those? 2. 2 goes into both of those. This is 2 times 25. This is 2 times 4. There it is. Greatest common factor. So I'm going to put that in front. And what results? 25 minus 8. The leftover factor is 4. Once again, I compare these two numbers and I see that they both are perfect squares. And that being the case, I am going to continue. So the 2 greatest common factor is in front. I'm putting my pairs of parentheses, taking the square root. What's the square root of 25, folks? It is 5. What's the square root of 4? We already said it. It is 2. So, and the square root of x squared is x. So let's write that. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 4x squared is 2x. And of course, I put in my plus and minus signs. So it's time for a you try. And so you can pause the video. You do it. I do it. And we will compare our answers. So what are the problems, Miss Malone? X squared minus 100 would be the first one. And the second one would be 25x squared minus 49. All right, folks, so you pause your video, come back, and you can see the answer. Okay, how did you do? Hopefully you're getting it. If you need to, go back and watch this again. I think most of you have this, but just in case, there's your lesson for the day. We have accomplished it. Perfect difference between two squares. Factoring them. Okay, have a great day. Bye.